I feel like I'm just so used to seeing no. That's really good to hear yes about something. It's actually funny because this is literally the first time I'm filming anything for it because I really just wanted to fail privately. So maybe that should be my strategy now, is I just don't tell anyone about anything I'm doing and then it all works out, you know? Hello. Welcome to the video. I'm Melissa, I write books. You guys, I don't even know where to start with this because I didn't even tell you that this was happening, and that's new for me. Usually I'm like giving you a play-by-play, blow-by-blow of every event in my life, but writing related anyway. I'm not just out here sharing my entire will. Anyway, so let me just start with just what's going on. So I'm Melissa, I write books. I write, up until this point, thrillers that have very heavy romance subplots. If you're new or not, if you just need a refresh, it's been a while since we've talked about this. In August, I think I went on a retreat where I kind of had like a major revelation about myself as a writer. And I learned, or I realized that though I've been calling myself a thriller writer, I am actually writing romances that have very strong thriller elements, also known as romantic suspense. There is a genre for this that people have told me I am writing, and I have rebuked them, but turns out they were right. We don't need to do this whole song and dance. I have a video going through this whole thing if you want to check out more about that. But shortly after that, I applied for a mentorship program called SMOOCHPIT. If that's sounding familiar, it's just like a well-known mentor-mentee program, but also Meredith here on YouTube did this program last year, and that's where I had heard about it originally. And essentially what SMOOCHPIT is a mentorship program for if you're aspiring for traditional publishing and if you write romance or have a strong romance plot in the book. And I kind of knew about this program from Meredith, so I will link her channel, and she has documented the submission process and the whole thing on her channel. Essentially, there's like 25-ish, I think, mentors who are traditionally published or agented, like further up in the traditional publishing ladder than most people are, who write romance. Some of them primarily write and publish romantasy, some romantic suspense, contemporary romance, all of the different genres of romance, historical, all of the romance genres. And how it works is you submit essentially a query package. So a query letter, a synopsis, and the first 10 pages. And then you can specifically choose 3 of the mentors who you think might be a good fit. You select them as your primary. But all of the mentors in the program can see all of the applications. And it sort of works like querying. Like I applied in, I think it was September. Yeah. Whenever they opened for submissions. And you hear, sometimes people request manuscripts from you. In my case, my mentor requested 50 pages and then the next day requested the whole thing. Then on the day when it's announced, each mentor picks one submission to be their mentee. And that was this last Monday. That's the clip you just saw, was me waking up bright and early looking to see if I had gotten in or not. And I am thrilled to announce that I was accepted. And my mentor is the wonderful Christina L., who writes and publishes romantic suspense, which is, I'm saying this out loud actually is kind of making me break out in hives. I'm not very good at talking about good things. I will have a crash out morning, noon, and night on my channel, but when it comes to talking about hey, this exciting good thing happened, I get red. I break out in hives. And like I was saying in that clip, it's hard to talk about things going well because I'm just so used to no's at this point. But so I got accepted into this program. And my mentor currently, we've been in contact. She is going to do a critique on my book, and then we'll meet and chat about it. And I will do an edit on the book. I don't know quite exactly the timeline of things, but if I'm guessing, if I'm like surmising from Meredith's experience last year and just like generally the information, I'll meet with my mentor. We'll talk about changes we can make to the book. And then I'll do a big edit on it. And then there is like, we get it sort of ready for querying. So you might be thinking to yourself, Alyssa, what book did you submit? Because you're not writing, like, what's going on? So right now I'm drafting the first draft of Romantasy. So that is not the book that I submitted. If you've been around, I've called this book Project Gas Station for the majority of its existence, but it is going by the working title All's Fair in Love and Robbery, and it is a dual POV. I think legally it is romantic suspense. I've been querying it as a thriller since May. It follows a bank robber, like an unwilling bank robber, and a hostage negotiator who are fake dating each other for information on a string of growing bank robberies. That's sort of the one-liner of the book. And I submitted it, and that is the book that we will be doing an edit on. So typically once you start querying a book, or once I start querying a book, I kind of consider that book to be done. I've done everything I can to it. Once I had this like revelation of like, this is actually a romance novel, I thought, SmoochPit might be a great like opportunity for me to get feedback on the book as a romance rather than as a thriller. Because when I was writing it, I was thinking of satisfying thriller conventions. Though the romance subplot is very, very pressing and significant, like there's a fake dating through line of this book. When I was thinking about wrapping up and like satisfying genre conventions and satisfying a reader, I was thinking about it in terms of thriller. And so when I applied for this mentorship, I put in my application, and I've been talking with my mentor about how can we turn this book, which is pretty much a romance already, but like how can we think about it as a romance? And what do I need to do to satisfy the genre conventions of romance so that I can start querying it to a new pool of agents? Because I've been querying it only to thriller agents, and there's I think there's more romance agents than there are thriller agents if my query tracker stalking is accurate. Either way, whether there's a pool of agents left for this book or not, I think going through with an author who publishes romantic suspense, even if this book doesn't go anywhere, to like hear how do I edit a book to satisfy the genre, how do I like getting input like that is going to be, I haven't even like really processed like how impactful this is. I think it's hard sometimes when querying because everything that's not an offer of representation seems like a failure, which I'm really trying to unlearn that. When you've been querying, it's like, okay, a full is great, but it's not an offer. Okay, this is great, but it's not an offer. And I've been really working on trying to reframe my mind around that of like wins like this, like getting into a mentorship like this, like even if this book doesn't get an offer of representation, like the value of working on it with somebody who is further in their career, who knows what they're talking about, who is like willing to do a whole edit, like that is going to be invaluable. And honestly, that is where I am at with this mentorship. I'm so excited to be working with Christina. We haven't met yet to talk about the book. She's doing more of an in-depth edit on it first. And so I don't know what she thinks about it. And so I am kind of just like, also it's crazy because I haven't edited this book since April. Like I started querying at the beginning of May. And I haven't looked at the book since then. And so coming up here, I'm going to reread it before we discuss and think about what edits we want to do. But I'm kind of, I'm a little intimidated, to be honest, to like look at that book again and read it and dive into it. But I am excited to see how we can make it even better than it is. And I think it's going to be a really greatly placed for this pivot that I am making in my writing. Because for so long, I had thought of myself as only a thriller writer. And so to be mentored by somebody who is primary romance, who is a romantic suspense author, I think it's just going to set me up really well for all the future books I'm going to write. And so I'm really, really excited. And I just thought I would make a little video announcing that this is happening. I think the majority of the edit will be happening in November, December, which might throw a wrench in my career. Will throw a wrench into my current plans in the best way. And so there will be sort of a reprioritization of like what I'm doing with my writing, what I'm working on, how that's all going. So I will keep you updated on that. I think I will have a video sometime next week talking about like, what am I doing for November? Like, what are the plans? What are the vibes? And so we'll learn a little more about how this is all going to wrap into the rest of my writing for the year later. But that's all for this video. It's just a very excited announcement of that I got accepted into this mentorship program. So that is very exciting. And I'm not good at talking about good things happening, which is maybe something to think about and work on personally. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. Comment down below a heart emoji, and I will see you in the next video.